Alrighty, you YouTube nerds. So today I wanted to go over a few things regarding the tires, specifically all-terrain tires that have proven themselves great for winter driving. This is not a complete list, but this is a list that of tires that I've used personally. And I wanted to go through it real quick just because there were some people that were kind of freaking out now that it's getting to be winter time. And for you guys that, have to deal with the snow and slush day in and day out, we're looking for some recommendations. Some of these people were, on YouTube commenting, and then I've had also people here that I know I've talked to personally that were just as concerned about the same thing. So I'm going to go over a few tires that I have personally used in snow, in slush, over small amounts of ice, and of course, rain. All right. So this list is going to be relatively short. We're not talking 20 different tires here. We're talking about the ones that I've personally used. I can tell you right now, from a brand perspective, so far I have been most impressed with Falken lately. Over the past few years, that I've actually ran a couple different model tires, starting with the Falken Wild Peaks. Of course, most people know about these. The AT3Ws, they are a very aggressive all-terrain tire that is 3-peak rated, has aggressive tread, and can handle pretty much anything that you throw at it. Within reason, of course. The only downside with the Falken Wild Peaks, at least the AT3Ws, is they are heavy. Even for my new truck, if I went up one tire size, they're an extra like 6 or 7 pounds per tire, more than what I have on right now, which is the stock Goodyear Wrangler Adventurer with Kevlar is what I'm currently using, but I have not tested them out in the snow or even really much rain, because I am in Las Vegas. We haven't had any rain since I've gotten the truck. All right, but keep in mind is when I'm going through this list, this is primarily for pickups and mid-size to full-size SUVs. I haven't had any of these on crossovers, except I did use one. I did use the Wild Peak AT Trail tires on my Jeep that I had, the Grand Cherokee. I was just as impressed with these as I was the Wild Peak AT3Ws when it came to wet traction and snow and slush. So these are going to be the top, I think my top favorites overall is just Falken in general. The next tire that I'm considering getting and trying out is going to be the Falken Rubitrek. The problem with the Falken Rubitrek, though, is that you can find them in many places, especially online, but Discount Tire, for example, does not carry these. They never carry these. If you ask them to order them, they can, but it's not something that they have. That's funny. It's a picture of them on a mid-sized truck, and that's what I'm thinking about putting them on. But they don't carry these tires as a regular stock. It's probably because not many people know about them, so not many people ask about them. But basically, the Rubitreks are a step between the AT3Ws and the Wild Peak Trail. The reason I like these better than the Wild Peak Trail is the tread is slightly more aggressive, but not so aggressive that's really going to affect the fuel economy or the on-road traction, but also has a good sidewall that can still help. Not only does it look good, but it can also help with preventing trail damage when you hit some sharp rocks, especially if you have to air down a little bit. I'm going to look in a little more about this regarding the ply ratings and everything, but you can see how the tread is. Let's see if I can get a good comparison for you. There we go. All right, so these are the Wild Peak AT Trails that I had on the Jeep, and these are the Rubitrek. All right, so definitely a little more aggressive with the Rubitrek. It's almost like a halfway step between the Trail and the Falken Wild Peak AT3Ws, which is good. So anyway, I haven't tried the Rubitrek, but I've tried the other two. I highly recommend them for snow, slush, wet, rain, you name it. All right, next on the list, I had Open Country AT3. I didn't have them on my personal vehicle. I used them on my buddy's truck, who he has an F-150. Only I think it's funny that they make an EV version, but it's not what I tried. Here we go. Open Country AT3. All right. So Toyo, everyone knows who Toyo is. Everyone knows. Even people that don't know much about tires. They're like, "Dep, Toyo?" Yeah, no, I've heard about them. The good thing about the Toyos is if you're looking for a good, mild, somewhat aggressive all-terrain tire that is three-peak rated, can handle snow, off-road, and have decent on-road manners, this is a great option because you can get these in an XL load as well, and they're not as heavy as the Falken Wild Peaks. If you get Wild Peaks in an XL load, like a 116 load or 115, you're looking at about 40 up to about 45 pounds, depending on the tire size. But for an average tire size, they're about 45 pounds. With these, you're looking at about 40. So anywhere between 3 to 5 pounds lighter on the Open Country AT3, excuse me. Sidewall protection, not as good as the Falcons. The Rubitrex are even a little better than these. So if you're not planning on doing any desert off-roading with a lot of sharp rocks, then the Open Country AT3s are actually pretty good. When I tested them out on my buddy's F-150 last winter, we went up to Lee Canyon, which is right near Mount Charleston, here outside of Las Vegas, and they were gripping really well. And even the stopping distance was pretty decent. It's a tire that I was actually considering getting myself for my Colorado, but I haven't quite made the decision yet. I think I might wait until I run down the Wrangler Adventurer Kevlar tires a little more before I even bother. But anyway, this is one of my considerations. All right, the last one I wanted to go through was the one these are the ones I had on the Ram. All right, you already seen a couple of videos of these. These are the Pirelli Scorpion All-Terrain Plus, 3-peak rated. By the way, all these were 3-peak rated, just in case you didn't know. Pirellis, I put them through some very harsh environments. A lot of dry off-roading with sharp rocks, gravel, you name it. These things did phenomenal. I never worried about getting a puncture, and these weren't even LTs that I was running. I think I was running the 115 loads. Only problem with the Pirelli All-Terrain Plus, or the Scorpion All-Terrain Plus, this is the smallest tire size that you can get for the Scorpion All-Terrain Plus, 265/70/17, which, by the way, is two or three sizes bigger than what my Colorado came with stock. So the only reason I'm not considering these again is just because of that. One thing I do want to mention, when it came to snow performance, wet performance, acceleration was phenomenal, just as good as the Falcons. Just as good. I couldn't even tell a difference. I couldn't tell you a difference. You've got all the siping here. You've got the channel grooves. Everything was fantastic with these tires, except one thing. The stopping distance in the snow was more than I wanted to admit. They took a little longer to come to a full stop, compared to the Falken Wild Peaks and the Toyos. Now, that's not to say that it was dangerously different. No, it was just noticeable. But aside from that, I had zero complaints with these tires. These were, and my favorite part about these is just the tread design. It's funny how it has the P for Pirelli and S for Scorpion. But they were pretty quiet on the highway. They didn't run rough at all, and they were still aggressive enough to meet the demand of most of my off-roading that I did, as well as the wet traction. You guys, if you're not familiar with the desert out here, when it rains, it rains. I mean, there's a reason why they call it monsoon season out here. Roads will flood and everything. And, even running these on the highway during monsoon season last year, earlier this year, no problems. zero problems. There are obviously a few other tires out there that are just as good as these in the snow and the wet and the rain. But I wanted to go through the ones that I've personally used within the last few years, and that would include, these four, excuse me. So if you're having trouble deciding, you need a good tire that can handle the winter. One of these four is usually the best to go with. The only thing I would just keep in mind that if you're known to be doing quick stops in the snow, just keep that in mind with the Scorpion All Terrain Plus. That is the one thing that it just really had trouble with. Aside from that, like I said, great tire. Any one of these four will serve you very well, especially if you're looking for something that can handle winter performance. I say winter performance, but winter traction without having to swap over to new tires or different tires after the winter. If you want to run them all year, that's the whole point of these. That's the whole point of having 3-peak rated all-terrain tires. But if you guys do have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you have any requests for anything else that you want me to kind of take a look at, take a view. I'm sure there's something that I might have forgotten, or there might even be another tire or two tires that I've forgot to mention here. If I think of anything off the top of my head later on, I will post a comment with whatever tire it is that I might be forgetting at the moment. But all right, guys, thanks for watching.